Here's a video about how we're going to find x of a quadratic equation by completing the square. All right, so here is a quadratic equation, right? And remember that x squared plus a squared, a times x squared plus b times x minus c equals y. So this is my y term of point on a quadratic, right? So it's something comma 21. So I got to figure out what this other value is by solving for x. Okay, it's kind of like what a function does but backwards. Okay. So first thing is first, I'm going to says do it by completing the square, right? So I got to complete the square. So this is my first set. I'm going to rewrite it, right, as x squared plus 2x, leave a gap, minus 9 equals 21. All right. So I'm evaluating my a term here. My a term is just 1, which is what I need to be able to complete the square. If it's anything other than 1, if there's anything in front of my x squared term, whether it's a number, a negative sign, or a negative sign with a number, I need to factor that out, but that's not the case here. And so all I got to do now is go into my completing the square method. Right, so it's going to be inside my parentheses, divide my b term by 2, that equals 1, square it, that equals 1, and that's going to go right here. Okay, now earlier I had you guys subtract 1 from over here. Right, that's because as I added 1 to my equation, I have to subtract 1 to keep this side 0. So I could do that, or I could subtract 1. Or add 1 to this side, excuse me. I added 1 here, right? So I added 1 there. Oh, so I added 1 to the other side, which is the same as subtracting from this side. It's going to end up doing the same thing to the equation. All right, so now I just need to take the square of this quadratic. So the first term square root, the second term sine, the third term square root, and that's going to be squared. Minus 9 equals 22, because 21 plus 1 is 22. So now I'm going to bring this over here. So x plus 1 quantity squared equals 22 minus 9, which is going to be equal to 22 minus 9 is 13, equals 13. So x squared plus 1 equals, x plus 1 squared equals 13. You can't see what I'm doing. Okay, there we go. All right, so that's what I got going on right now. Okay, so now I got to take the square root of both sides. Take the square root of that, and the square root of this is going to be x plus 1 equals the plus or minus square root of 13. Okay, so now x is going to be equal to 1, negative 1, plus the square root of 13, and negative 1 minus the square root of 13. So those are my two x values. Remember, the square root of 13 is just some number, right? So it's 1 minus that number, and then 1 plus that number, because minus and minus. So negative 1 plus that number is minus and minus. Negative 1 minus that number is the other one. Okay? So that is the first look at that. All right, so let's do another one that comes up with a little bit of cleaner number. Okay, so I have x squared minus 18x plus 8, or plus 80 equals 0. So this is a y-intercept, right? My my x-intercept. These are my squares of this, or my roots of this, right? Where I have my x values are going to be 2 things, and then my y value are going to be 0, right? So I'm going to complete the square doing this one, right? So this is 1, so all I have to do is x squared minus this divided by 2 is 9, squared is going to be 81. Excuse me. Let me do this the quick way, I guess. Okay. And I'll do the long way. All right, so this is going to be x squared minus 18x, and then this divided by 2 is 9, and then squared is 81, plus 81, right? That's inside parentheses, plus 80, And then on the other side, I added 81 to this side, so I have to subtract 81 from that side. Okay, now we'll complete the square, and we'll say that x minus 9 squared equals, going to bring this over here, so it's going to be negative, it's going to be 81 minus 81 minus 80. Whoops, I have to add it to that side. Okay, so it's going to be, I added it to this side, so I have to add it to that side. Okay, so this is going to be 81 minus 80, right? So it's going to be 1. Okay, and then I have to take the square root of both sides. So x minus 9 equals the positive square root of 1 and the negative square root of 1, which is positive 1 and negative 1 and negative 1. Okay, so this is going to be x equals 9 minus 1. So this comes over here, become 9, right? So it's going to be x equals negative 1 plus 9, which is going to be negative or positive 8, or x equals 1 plus 9, which is 10. So those are my two values of these coordinate points. Okay, that should be enough for this one. It's pretty straightforward, except as long as you know how to complete the square.